I use porn because I have such a strong sex drive. I have a strong sex drive. My wife does not. And so we can get caught and I think fooled into the belief that I use porn for sex. It's a sex thing.
What's up, bro?
Pew, pew, pew. Welcome, brothers, to today's episode of the Porn to Purpose podcast. We're your hosts, Matthew Sinkovitz, my esteemed colleague, Yeadon Smith. Honored to have you with me here today, brother.
Oh, and we are live on all platforms, baby.
We are live on all platforms. Check us out. Check us out. Welcome, brothers. Thanks for being here with us.
All three people can watch us this time.
All three people. And it's for good reason, because we got a special day in the books. We got our 100th episode.
100 episodes. Bro, that's 2 years of podcasting on a weekly basis.
Yes. 2 years of podcasting spread over a 4-year period.
I crammed 2 years into 4. That's how good I am, baby.
Sounds like my college degree. It's true.
I crammed 4 years of college into 5.
Hey, nice work. It is interesting, man. We've come a long way. We still got work to do, but we're growing. The podcast continues to, I think, improve in quality and the way that we're doing things. This used to just be, I used to call this thing just conscious conversations, and I would just invite other thought leaders into the space, and we would have conversations, and it was very casual, and I didn't have any gear, and it was rough. But it's just it goes back to the conversation of just ship it. Just do it, ship it, keep showing up, and
take the next step. What does the next step look like? Do that.
Exactly. So here we are.
I know we got some good stuff to talk about today, especially, and I'm excited about what we're talking about. One, we're talking about porn. If you accidentally thought we're talking about porn recovery, so if you thought this was a different avenue of porn, you're in the wrong place. But if you're trying to recover from porn, brother, you are in the right place. What we're talking about today is, why do I keep relapsing? Yeah. Why is this happening?
Yep. Because darn it, I've watched all the YouTube videos and I've read the books and I've listened to the podcast. I listened to the Porn to Purpose podcast. Right. What the heck's going on here?
Well, if you have listened to this podcast, you probably have some idea of why you relapse.
Yeah.
But we're going to break it down step by step on what is the underlying reason that this stuff happens, because it's way more nuanced than any of us think once we get stuck, right? We've talked about the myths of porn, where it's like, oh, I have a high sex drive, victimless crime, blah, 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 blah. Right. So we got some good stuff for y'all today. And Matt, I know you're going to kick it off with point numero uno.
Yes. Okay, so to kick this one off, back in the early days of the P2P community, we're probably still in the early days of the P2P community. And as you guys know, I'm on the path myself. I'm on the path myself. And I remember one particular acting out episode. I was doing really good in my journey. Like so many of you can likely relate to. I'm doing good. I think I got it kicked. I think I got it handled. And I act out and I relapse. And I was so frustrated with myself. I said, you know what? How do I bring grace into this relapse, this acting out episode? And if nothing else, I want to take full advantage of this episode and I want to extract the lessons. And I sat down and I got on my computer after this episode is like the next morning. And I went down and I typed out what became the relapse recovery doc, or the 0-day doc. I said, if I'm going to act out, at least if I'm going to act out, I'm going to find a way to take this. I'm going to mine it for the gold, and I'm going to extract the lessons. And that doc, the 0-day doc, or the relapse recovery doc, turned into a doc that we still use here inside the community. And it's a very thorough, probably 30 or 40, question document, and it goes through and it just looks at every single angle of the acting out episode. What happened? Why did it happen? When did it happen? What else was going on? How am I feeling? What impacts did I have? So I could really, take a look at the full scope of the situation and really take the wisdom from it, and not just be another wasted experience.
Oh my gosh, that is clutch, because we're programmed by the system, the they out there, right? Oh, people learn best from experience. That's what people say. That's what they say. But the reality is it's one more step past just the experience. People don't learn from experience. They learn from reflecting on the experience and processing the experience. I was just on a coaching call with a real estate program, and I'm the coach in that group. And I was saying, guys, this is what I want you to do this week. Make this call make these calls to commercial brokers until a broker asks you a question and you fail and you flub it and you're embarrassed and you get caught as a brand new operator who hasn't done a deal yet. And come back to the call next week, and we're going to talk through what was that question? How do you handle that next time? So we can reflect on it. And you've done that with porn. Like, I had a relapse, went off the rails. What was going on? What was my mental state? What was my emotional state? What was the physical? Was I hungry, tired, whatever? What was going on so I can understand and look for these things in the future?
Exactly.
Dude.
Exactly. So number one, we want to offer you guys the reason a lot of men continue to relapse. Maybe the reason that you continue to relapse, brother, is you're not extracting the lessons. You're not taking those acting out moments, those relapse moments, and extracting them for the gold, for the wisdom, for an opportunity to learn and to apply that wisdom to your recovery journey, and not keep making the same mistakes over and over again. You got to take those opportunities to reflect. That's the first point.
And that reflection that lands on point number two, which is not outgrowing it. Right? Just trying to white knuckle it for decades. My recovery path was, okay, I made it 5 days without porn. Now I'm going to just try for 6 days. See if I can do that. Right? Try for 7 days. Try for 8 days. Right? Whatever my sober streak was when it broke, it's like, okay, I made it a month. Let's see if I can make it a month and a day. But I never really reflected back on what was going on, what was driving me to the porn. I was just trying to white knuckle it, and I could never outgrow it. When I started really digging into the work of understanding, one, why I was pulled to pornography, and looking back at the resets that I would have in my recovery, like, oh, this is what was going on. This is why I relapsed. Now I can see it. And this recovery stuff, it's like the Matrix. Once you take the red pill, it's hard to go back. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you know it, you can't just wipe it from your memory banks.
Absolutely. Back in my real estate days, speaking of real estate, Yeadon, I was working at Keller Williams, and when they really emphasized personal development, and I heard the quote back then, and it was Einstein's definition of insanity. Maybe it's accurate, maybe not, but it's commonly used, and it's that the definition of
it's
insanity.
Credited to Einstein, whether he said it or not.
Yeah, exactly. The definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Right, and to Yeadon's point,
I'm just going to not watch porn. Yeah, how'd that work out for you, bro? How'd that work?
Says, I came here to learn about recovery for my kids. I thought I was going to learn some tips, ticks, tools, strategy. I didn't realize I was going to have to come here and actually grow. But that is the answer.
I did not sign up for personal growth. I thought this was just get rid of porn in my life. Yeah.
We've got to grow. We've got to evolve. We've got to literally outgrow porn. And as Yeadon often says, and I think probably coined the phrase, become a man to whom pornography is no longer irrelevant. Outgrow the old version of ourselves. That's critical.
Yeah, exactly right. I see that in real estate, right? In the real estate investment stuff that I coach people in. Like, I say this all the time. You have to become the kind of person who has the capacity to handle owning this type of commercial asset before you ever get to the closing table. You have to become that person. You have to be, and it's no different with porn recovery. We have to grow as men to the point where pornography is just not relevant. It doesn't stick. Now, I mean, I'll be honest. I still feel the pull. when I'm bored, when I'm tired, when I'm all tied up in knots emotionally, stressed out. Like there's a piece of me that's like, hey, dopamine hit is just a few keyboard clicks away, and boom, we can push all these emotions and all this negative thought to the side, and you can have a moment of peace.
Yep.
Yeah. So not out. So I'm gonna recap where we got one, not reflecting and not extracting the lesson on a relapse. That's one. Two, not growing, just trying to white knuckle it, not having any actual personal growth. That's number two. And number three, Matt, lay it on us.
You're looking at the wrong thing, man. You're looking at the wrong thing.
Well, I know I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at porn, and that's the wrong thing. Okay.
There's a lot of jokes available in this conversation. Look, guys, a lot of guys come in here, and I talk to a lot of men who are maybe exploring joining us in Liberation Boot Camp, or just maybe exploring the recovery conversation, or I hear it out about that. Man, I use porn because I have such a strong sex drive. I have a strong sex drive. My wife does not, or I'm single right now. I've got to have a sexual outlet. And so we can get caught, and I think fooled into the belief that I use porn for sex. It's a sex thing. And yes, obviously there's a sex component, but I would offer that that's the very top layer of what's actually going on here. Now, obviously it's sexual, right? For a lot of obvious reasons. But what's
watching
really
people
going
having
on,
sex is definitely sexual.
What's actually going on here is there's so much more going on beneath the surface. We look at the acronym HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired, right? What we come to learn through the work that we're doing here inside the community, through the work of self-observation, meditation, journaling, introspection, as we begin to see, and I think as we begin to slow down and really look at what's going on, what's also present when we feel the urge to use porn, what we can begin to see is that it's not just a sexual, or that's the outlet, that like that's the way it wants to be expressed. But what's actually going on is we're using porn to self-medicate, to self-soothe, to cope with our emotions, and to emotionally regulate. That's really what's going on, just to create a state.
100%.
Yeah.
We think it's about sex, but it's actually simpler than that.
Yeah.
It's simpler and more complex. It's a coping mechanism, pure and simple.
Yep.
And an unhealthy one.
Yep.
That has the potential to destroy your life.
Yep.
Okay, so we got not extracting the lesson, not outgrowing it, looking at it like through the wrong lens, looking at the wrong thing, focusing on the sex part of the porn.
Yep.
And that leads us to number 4. And man, this was me.
Yeah.
Trying to do this in isolation.
Yep.
Trying to do this in isolation. Addiction thrives in isolation. It dies in community.
Yep.
It just does. We say consistently in the Liberation Boot Camp, in the Porn to Purpose community, shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. We need to have a safe space where we can check in and say, hey, I am feeling it.
Yeah.
The addict is yelling at me on the inside. I'm feeling chaotic, stressed out, have deadlines at work, or I feel under attack from my wife. I feel unloved, unwanted. My kids are not doing what they need to do. Stressed out about that. Just all these pressures. And there's nobody to share that with. And you're carrying it all by yourself. Bro, you need someplace where you can lean in and bring that to the table, because you bring it to the table in a place where there's no shame, guilt, fear, or judgment. It just dies.
Yep.
It just dies. It cannot survive that.
Yep.
Even for me, growing up in ministry as a youth minister for a decade, I've been in Bible studies, I've been in accountability groups, I've been in men's breakfasts, right? Men's retreats. And even in those communities, it wasn't a safe space. Now, it may have been a safe space and I just couldn't tell, because I was young and stupid. But having a dedicated, safe community that you can talk about your addiction. You can talk about, hey, I just had to reset my tracker. It's like, okay, we want to support you. We want to help you extract those lessons. We want to help you grow to become the better man so you don't need that. We want to help you figure out healthy coping mechanisms. So when the addict is yelling at you, you're like, okay, yep, I know that porn is going to give me the dopamine hit. The problem is it's also going to give me all the guilt, fear, shame, and everything else. It just washes back in, and I'm going to be worse. What's a healthy way I can handle what's going on in my life right now without going to porn? It's critical.
Absolutely. And to Yeadon's point, so like this piece about community is critical. That's like part A, right? I would say part B is what you also get through community is you get other men who are also on the path. Other men like Yeadon, other men like Max, other men like Rich, right? Who are on the path ahead of you. And there is a beautiful, I really began to see this when I was doing the 12-step recovery work. It's that there's a collective wisdom in the community, right? So you get to learn from other men who are on the path, right? Who have been down the road ahead of you. So you don't have to make the mistakes that we made, right? Yeah. Not only that, but we've got a proven path up the mountain, right? That's the reason Yeadon's sitting here, you know?
Dude, I was just pulling up my tracker. Let's see. It's 793 days.
Wow.
Today.
Beautiful.
793 days is my streak of sobriety.
Yeah.
And,
there you go. Community.
Every day, there is a moment where I have to do battle, where I have to do the work inside. It's like, oh, man. Okay, not going to go there. I have a healthy coping mechanism I can use. Go on a walk, breathe, read, check in, do a check-in with the Liberation Boot Camp. Say, hey guys, send me a prayer in your meditation today. Say a prayer for me because the emotions are hitting real hard. So, brother, let's get real for a second. Okay. This is a big deal. And I'm not trying to guilt, fear, or shame anybody because we've all had plenty of that. Let's be real. This is not something that's going to go away by itself. You cannot white knuckle the rest of your life. You don't want to keep banging. What's it going to be like in 10 years when you're just still banging your head against the wall trying to figure this shit out? Oh, sorry. Can we say shit on the podcast? We're going to have to rate it MA now. Anyways, right? You're trying to do this by yourself. You've been thinking about it like, oh, I have a high sex drive. This is my outlet. That's bogus. Check us out, porntopurpose.com. We want to have a conversation with you. Get on the phone with me or with Matt. Let's have a call. Totally confidential. Just talk through what's going on in your life. See if we can help. See what we can do to serve. See what we can do to help you have liberation and have freedom.
Yes.
Man, come on in. The water is fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Check us out, porntopurpose.com. You can book a call with me or Matt. Our schedules are on there. You can learn about what the boot camp is. We want to celebrate the journey with you. We want to be supporters. We want to be your Sherpa.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of celebrate, brothers, thanks so much for joining us here today for our 100th episode. All right. As we talk about the topic that we've all run into 100 or 1,000 times, relapse. We've all been there, brothers, and we hope that you found value in this conversation today. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in, for being a listener, and we look forward to seeing you and talking to you soon. So wherever you are in the world, peace, power. We are noble men. Bye-bye.
Noble men.